So today we are going to start in a comfortable seat. If you know that you tend to be a little tighter, this is a really excellent place to grab a blanket if you happen to have one handy. Fold it up and you're going to sit on that, and that just helps you to get a little release in these hip flexors, in the pelvic girdle or area where we're all really tight. So it's a nice little trick. It's especially nice even if you tend to be more flexible. Oftentimes just starting in this pose, it can take some effort. So this is a nice little variation that you can do. And then today, let's go ahead and press the weight into your left sit bone. Kind of roll that inner right thigh outward. Do the same thing on the left side. So you really feel that spread of your sit bones. You're rooting down into them. Let's warm the shoulders up a little bit here, especially after a weekend. Monday will always make the shoulders extra tight. Just notice the crunches that are happening and then start to roll forward. Roll back again. And then just allow your shoulder blades to release down your back. Take your hands on your thighs. Close your eyes here. Nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. Do that a couple more times. Nice deep inhale. Sigh the breath out, sigh the Mondays out, sigh the to-do list out. Put all of that stuff aside. You don't have to worry about it for the next hour. As tempting as it will be to do so, really give yourself permission to land on your mat, to land inside your body. You start to pay attention to how things are feeling. And as you feel ready, you start to find that rhythm of your Ujjayi breath. So that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. You begin to create that soft rush of air in the back of your throat. There's a sound to it. If there were somebody practicing next to you, they would be able to hear it. And it can take a moment to find this rhythm. Sometimes it can be helpful to count the breath starting out so you can get into that groove with your breath. We're going to sit here quietly for a moment. Do a quick little scan of your body. Have you started to grip and hold anywhere that you don't need to? So for me, I noticed that I have tightened a little bit in the inner thigh, the groin. So I'm sending some breath there, relaxing. Perhaps your shoulders have crept up around your ears, soften them down, and then feel that balance of shoulders over hips. And then key into that rhythm of your breath. Eyes stay closed here. Root into your sit bones. Inhale, stretch your arms out and up. So they're about shoulder distance apart. Palms are facing towards each other. Find that widening across the backs of your shoulders. Keep rooting into those sit bones as you exhale. Hinge forward, fold in. Probably won't be very deep here. And you're going to feel a stretch in that outer hip of the shin that is crossed in front. If you're a little more flexible, you might rest your head on a block here. If you're a little less flexible, you might even have your hands on blocks to help you keep that length through the sides of your waist, through your torso. We're all going to be going a different direction here. So you may need to peek and see what shin is crossed in front. I want you to walk your arms towards that knee. And then I want you to wrap those opposite ribs towards that knee. It's a little twist here. It feels nice. Breath smooth and steady. That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. Then we're going to come into a lateral stretch. See that side that you're leaning to, you're going to take that arm, it's out the hand is perpendicular to that sit bone, and then start to reach that top arm up and over, rolling opposite ribs up towards the ceiling. So we're twisting in the opposite direction. If it feels okay here, you begin to bring your gaze up. And that can be really intense in the neck starting out, so be mindful. If it's not working, don't do it. You can start to spin the pinky side of that top hand down towards the earth. Feel your shoulder blades release down your spine. Keep rooting into both sit bones. So the sit bone on the side that you're reaching up overhead, it's going to get a little light here. Put your brain there, get heavy. Find that rooted feeling. But as we inhale, we come on up. Extend legs to straight and then recross with the opposite shin in front. So this way is going to feel perhaps a little tighter. We typically go to the side that feels easier. Then let's do that little rolling of the inner thigh towards the outer thigh. So you kind of press into one sit bone. And that just helps you to feel like you're sitting nice and wide, nice and grounded. Shoulders over hips. Close your eyes, find your breath. And already in just a short amount of time, that's starting to get easier. We've practiced this a lot, so we've kind of almost triggered ourselves. Once we start breathing like this, hopefully the chatter in the head gets a little quieter. Not always. We're less distracted by the things happening around us, so we get this nice little piece of quiet. Make sure you haven't started to slouch, so you're sitting nice and tall. Notice if there's tension anywhere in your body, soften in those places. So there is effort to sit here like this, but we don't want to strain or work in places that we don't need to. Keep rooting down into those sit bones. You can keep your eyes closed. Stretch your arms out and overhead. So shoulders distance apart, maybe a little wider. Wider is nice if your shoulders are tighter. So also, it just helps you to find more widening across the backs of your shoulder blades. As you continue to anchor, hinge forward at your waist, start to fold in. That stretch goes to the outer hip of the shin that is crossed in front. And this side might feel a lot different. It might be about the same. You're noticing, you're making any little adjustments that you need to. So for those of us that are a little more flexible, you could rest your head on a block. If you're a little tighter here, you back out. You might even have your hands on blocks. That's a nice little variation just to give you a little height. So you're still getting all of the stretch. A few more good breaths. That inhale through your nose. And that exhale through your nose. Lengthening through the back of your neck. And then you start to walk your arms off towards that knee of the shin that is crossed in front, and you roll those opposite ribs towards that knee. So a little twist here. And then coming into our lateral stretch. So the direction that you're headed, you're going to reach the outer arm. So the hand is perpendicular to the hip. Root into your sit bones. Start to spin your waist up towards the ceiling. Take that upper arm or that top arm up and over. Spinning the pinky side of the arm down. If this is easy in your body, you could always come onto your forearm or move in that direction. Forearm on a block. That opposite sit bone is wanting to lift up off the mat. It's going to a little bit, that's okay, but press there, anchor there. Good. As you inhale, roll on up, extend legs straight, give them a little shake. And then you're gonna make your way to your tabletop. We're gonna start to move into some cat-cow. So set up with your shoulders over your wrists. Spread your fingers a lot, more than feels comfortable. This really does help to support and strengthen the wrists. If you're tighter in your shoulders, you could always turn your fingers out slightly. You don't wanna overdo that. And then knees are underneath your hips. Before you even begin to move, feel that lower belly pulling in and up a little bit. It's like you're kind of scooping the belly out. Hold on to that as you begin to move. Inhale, you arch. So chest comes forward through the gates of your shoulders. As you exhale, press the mat away vigorously with your hands. Roll in. Let the back of your neck lengthen. Inhaling, arching. Exhaling, rounding. Close your eyes if they're not already. Just continue to move like this. So finding this lovely rhythm, finding this pace in your body that feels really good. Some days we need to move faster. That's often true if we're feeling a little lethargic. If you're feeling a little stressed out, maybe you start to move a little slower. These look good. A few more rounds. Just warming up that spine, noticing how it's feeling. And then on your next inhale, come back to neutral spine. So you're neither arching nor rounding. Again, that belly button is pulling towards your back ribs. Feel those shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. As you inhale, lift your right leg up off the mat. Keep your hips nice and even. So this hip always wants to roll up towards the ceiling. We're not going there. Just stay here with those right toes pointing down towards the mat. Your inner right thigh spiraling up. Glance down. Make sure that your right shoulder is over your right wrist. And then bring your gaze an inch or two in front of the fingertips. Diagonal stretch, so start to reach those left fingertips forward. Keep breathing. So definitely a balance pose here. Feel those outer hips squeeze in towards each other. So we want a lot of stability in our core. You're gonna notice little micro movements happening. You might be sliding back and forth on that left knee. You're gonna feel some effort in that right palm that is pressing down. Good. Another deep inhale. Exhale, release that down, and we're gonna go to the second side. So just make any little adjustments here that you need to. All right, so shoulder blades are squeezing in towards each other. Inner belly is pulling slightly up. Nice inhale, you lift that left leg up off the mat. So the toes are pointing down. That inner left thigh is rolling up towards the ceiling. Another way to think of this is just that you're standing on this leg, so it's in Tadasana. Root down into your left palm. Those fingers are spreading, your shoulders over your wrist. Gaze forward helps with the balance. It's that drishti. Start to reach those right fingertips forward. See how long you can get here. Notice if you start to sag in that lower back. So we don't want that. We want to support that area. And for a lot of us, we can carry a lot of tension and pain there. So firming the belly button to the back ribs helps you to find a little support. How long can you get? Couple more breaths. Good. Exhale, release down. We're going to do that again with a little twist, literally a little twist and a little back bend. So your nice tabletop setup as you inhale, right leg lifts. Take an exhale, and then inhale, stretch that left arm forward. Okay, so you're gonna bend that right knee. You might just stay here like this. If you wanna reach back with your left hand, see if you can find the foot. And then if you get it, you start to kick that foot into your hand. You begin to spin your ribs to the right. Maybe gazing out over that you spin to the left. So you're gazing out over your left shoulder. You're breathing. So we often hold the breath when we come into these precarious balance poses. As you inhale, lengthen out, find your core. Release down. All right, as you inhale, left leg lifts. Next, inhale, stretch your right fingertips forward. Hold on to all of this length as you start to bend that left knee. You could just stay here like this. That's great. If you want to play around a little bit, reach back, see if you can find that foot. And when you get it, you kick that foot into your hand so you start to get this nice stretch on that left hip flexor. And then you're spinning your chest to the right, maybe gazing up over that right shoulder. If you fall out, no big deal. It's not far. Good. Lengthen out on your inhale. As you exhale, come to your tabletop position. We're going to walk our hands forward a couple of inches, curl our toes under, downward facing dog. The last one of summer, potentially, the last dog's happening here as we shift into fall. So take a moment, kind of fidget around, pedal back and forth between your feet. Sometimes it can feel really nice to take your hips wide or your feet wide and then just shift your hips from side to side. There is no right or wrong here, just listening to what it is that you need, kind of exploring what feels good. And then you're going to eventually find a place of stillness. And let's all come up onto our tippy toes with that bend in our knees. As you do that, spread your fingers. You might even peek to make sure that that's happening. It's funny how sometimes we think we're doing something and we're not. And then let your neck release down. So as you press evenly into all 10 knuckles, you get a lot of length through the front of your body, the sides of your body. And as you do that, you start to stretch those sit bones up towards the ceiling. Stay on those left toes. Start to melt that right heel back any amount. Great stretch in the back of the leg. I'm actually getting in the glute, outer hip area. Come up onto those tippy toes. And then exhale, melt that left foot back. All right, back up to tippy toes. Very slowly start to melt both heels back to the mat. They may not go there. You may keep a bend in your knees. That's absolutely fine. Let me take a few breaths here. This is a nice long hold, so you're probably feeling it. Maybe in your arms. Make sure that you're not gripping your neck. We tend to hold the neck. Let it lengthen. And you'll know you're doing that because you're gazing between your toes. All right, keep stretching those sit bones up. Pull your lower belly in. Start to shift forward into your plank pose. So you might need to wiggle your feet back a little bit. So we have shoulders over wrists, hips in line with shoulders, legs really active. You're using them more than you think you can. We're going to take a few breaths here. Back of the neck again, nice and long. What happens is we tend to look back at the toes. It's actually just not a pretty perspective on anybody's body, I don't think. So just look forward. I always feel better about that. All right, and then you also have the option to come down to your knees if it starts to feel like too much. In fact, let's all do that for this first one. So lower onto your knees, but keep your belly engaged. Shift forward, elbows bend an inch, maybe 2 inches. They go no more than halfway, so shoulder heads in line with elbows. Inhale, press up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up, and as you can tell, this is so much work. I did this for years. Starting out. All right, so if you want to come into your full plank, take a chaturanga, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, you stick with the knee variation. Lower, let's all hover here. Gaze forward, neck nice and long. Notice if you start to jet the booty up, keep it even, direct your tailbone towards your heels, and then land in one piece on your belly. Good. So tops of the feet press, you're rolling a little bit to the outer edges of your feet. Get the hairs out of my face. Interlace your fingers at the small of your back. So we're going to get into the shoulders a little bit in addition to strengthening our spine here. So resting on your forehead, anchoring down into your feet. As you inhale, chest extends forward and up. You're dragging your knuckles towards your heels. You're lifting your shoulder heads up towards the ceiling. Breath smooth and steady. That inhale through your nose. That exhale through your nose. As you exhale, lower down. Change the interlacing of your fingers. Inhale, drag knuckles towards heels. Good. Keep your feet pressing down. Keep your head and chest lifted. Take your arms out wide. Couple of breaths here. You can feel the shoulder blades squeezing in towards each other. And then you're going to bend your elbows. Fingertips come underneath your shoulder heads. As you exhale, lower down. Inhaling up. Exhale, lower. So just moving into this lovely Vinyasa version with our Cobra pose. Exhale, lower down. Inhale up. So holding here, a few breaths. So there's not a lot of work happening in the arms. Fingers are definitely spreading. You're squeezing your elbows in, but we're not pressing into the palms to get the back bend. We're really trying to generate this movement from the muscles in our back. If you feel like you're ready for an upward dog, you can drag your hands back. If you feel like you need to warm your spine up a little more, honor that and just stay here in your low cobra. Otherwise, you drag hands back, wrists underneath your elbows. Elbows again are squeezing into the midline. On your next inhale, you press into the tops of your feet. Arms start to come to straight as you press down into your palms. Shins, knees, thighs are lifting up off the mat here. Shoulder heads are still pressing back. You're feeling that lift of your sternum up towards the ceiling. And then maybe bring your gaze slightly up. So do so without throwing your neck back. Instead, just look up. From this upward dog, you can roll over your toes, pull back downward dog. If you're in your low cobra, you make your way to your tabletop. And then to your downward dog. Once we get here, we're all going to take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Start to walk your feet forward to meet your hands. As you inhale, so you could have fingertips on the floor, hands on shins or thighs, knees might be bent here, so a lot of different options. Chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, root down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart, and we start to flow here. So first, just make sure that you have this nice Tadasana. So feet about hip distance apart is a really nice kind of standard variation. If you're balanced or you want to challenge your balance, maybe you start to bring your feet a little closer together. Wherever you're at, make sure that your second toe is pointing forward. So that's just for alignment. Tailbone directs down, sternum reaches up. So we don't want to be standing with our ribs jutted forward or our booty back. Direct the tailbone down, so nice and tall like a ballerina, and we begin to move here. As you inhale, take up lots of space. As you reach your arms out and up, maybe gaze up, press palms. As you exhale, swan dive in. You might have a little bend in those knees or a deep bend in the knees. Inhale, lengthen forward, so fingertips on the floor, hands on shins or thighs. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Exhaling, hands come together at your heart. Ardha Surya Namaskar. A few more. Inhale, reaching. You might close your eyes during these. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Couple more. Inhaling, reaching Utthita Hastasana into Tadasana. Extended mountain. Exhale, fold, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. One more. I'm not going to cue you. Just move with your breath. Let it feel really good. Palms together at your heart. Eyes closed. Check in. Notice how you're feeling. Notice what's shifting for you. Maybe put your brain in your feet. So especially with the eyes closed, we can begin to observe all of those little micro movements that are happening in the muscles of the feet to keep us upright. It's pretty incredible. So let's tap into that a little further by coming into our tree pose. So go ahead and blink your eyes open, release your arms by your side. I'm gonna start rooting down into our left foot. So imagine that there's roots just reaching deep into the earth. So again, you're feeling very solid and anchored. Put your brain in this outer left hip. So as we come into this pose especially, it's gonna wanna pop off to the side. So before we even do that, pull your belly in. And I'm actually noticing, kind of knowing that I'm going into that left foot, my arch is really engaging. I'm pressing into the four corners of the feet. My toes are actually very light. Come up onto your right toes. Start to open that hip. And this is where you can start to feel that left hip popping out. So you squeeze it in, squeeze your belly button in. You can stay here. Maybe you lift that right foot to the lower left leg. A few of us might be able to reach down, snuggle that foot higher. You kind of want to get it as high as you can go. The only place we don't want that foot is on the knee, since that's a joint. If you are close to a wall and you're struggling with balance, you could always reach out and hold on. Just use a wall prop to help you be stable. And then also I want you to feel foot and thigh pressing in towards the midline. So nice and active. Palms together at heart center. And of course, this action of balancing on one foot really intensifies that idea of creating that stability in the foot. There's a lot of movement happening in my foot. You can actually see it. So that's a good thing. That's normal. Start to stretch your arms up. Okay, so we're going to keep reaching up through these right fingertips. You could just pretend that somebody is holding you up by your wrist. It's almost like you're a little puppet. Start to bring your gaze up. Just doing this is very challenging, especially if you're in a room that has a tall ceiling. And then we're going to track with our eyes as we start to extend that left arm off to the left. You might fall right out of this. If you do, you chuckle to yourself. Ah, scream timber. It's windy. It's windy coming up against autumn. All right, so let that go. Maybe walk the legs out a little bit. And then we're going to take that second side. So we know where we're going. Sometimes that makes it easier. Not always. This might be your harder side. So first and foremost, just imagine that you've got roots reaching into the earth. It's like the opposite of the puppet that we just did. But you're anchoring there. You're pulling your lower belly in and up. You're squeezing this right hip in towards the midline. Come up onto your left toes. And just doing this can be challenging. Start to open up that left hip. So everything is squeezing into the midline. You can stay here. Maybe you lift that left foot a little higher, pressing leg and foot against each other. Maybe you use your left hand to help snuggle that foot into the upper right thigh. Are you breathing? Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your nose. We hold the breath in our yoga poses when they get challenging. We hold the breath in life when things get challenging. When we get stressed, it gets really shallow. So find that rhythm of your breath. These look really great. Notice how this side feels different and observe all those little micro movements happening in that standing leg. Are you gripping your toes? See if you can lift them up, stretch them out, release them down. We begin to stretch our arms up. And then moving slow with a smile, because it's only yoga, you begin to bring your gaze up towards the ceiling. And then just imagine that somebody's holding that left wrist, so they're helping to keep you stable. Bring your gaze to your right fingertips. Track with your eyes. Think balance, balance, balance. Great work. Let that go. Give the legs a little walk out. And let's start to flow a little more. So just building a little more heat in the body. So you're at the top of your mat in your nice Tadasana. Feel those arches lift. So hold on to that feeling. in your feet that we just created in our tree pose. So toes are light, you don't have to grip. Gravity is keeping you in place. Here we go, as you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in, let the back of the neck lengthen. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, spread your fingers, right foot back, then left. Extra inhale here in our plank pose. Exhale, shift forward on toes. You might be coming to knees. You lower, chaturanga, pause here. You could stay here or you come all the way down. Inhale into your low cobra or your upward facing dog. They're both great. You can mix and match. As you exhale, pull back, downward facing dog. Make any little alignment adjustments that you need to, and then find a place of stillness. Key into that rhythm of your breath. Think length. Think stability. And then as you inhale, a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes, look where you're going. Couple of options, a few options actually. You can walk your feet forward, you can step right then left, or you can spring both feet forward. They're all good. This is a hard move to get the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, root down to rise up. Take up lots of space, and hopefully your body is feeling more spacious as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen forward. Keep gazing forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, left foot back, then right. Same exhale, you're lowering chaturanga, hovering or coming all the way down. Inhale into your back bend. As you exhale, pull your sit bones up towards the ceiling. Tiny little adjustments, and then find that place of stillness. Key into your breath. Let's do one more of these. Again, inhale, little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, walk forward, step left, then right, or hop both feet forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root down to rise up, take up space. Lengthen your tailbone towards the floor. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, reaching. Exhale, fold in. Good, inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Change my mind. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left, lower chaturanga, whatever that looks like for you. And then you make your way into your back bend. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Good, quickly, you don't have to do it quick, just come to your knees, back to your tabletop. Do a little modified Vashisthasana here. So you're gonna reach those right toes back, curl them under. Roll to the inner edge of that right foot. Check to see that left shoulder is over left wrist. Start to lengthen through this left side of your body. Stretch this top arm up. And if you have your camera on, this is a great place to peek and see that your shoulder blades are stacking on top of each other. You can really start to seal into the back edge of that left foot if it feels okay. If you're a little tighter, that might not happen. Spin that right palm to face forward. Reach through those fingertips. So again, we're getting this gorgeous lateral stretch. We started there in our Sukhasana. Maybe you begin to bring your gaze up if it feels okay in your neck. So that definitely puts some tension in the neck. Some days it just doesn't feel good. Good, stretch that top arm up. As you exhale, you unwind back to your tabletop, and we're gonna take the second side. So I will give you guys the back view of that Vashisthasana. So reach those left toes back, curl them under, that leg is in plank pose. Roll to the inner edge of that foot. Anchor into that right palm, your shoulder is over your wrist. Start to open up, you're lengthening through this right side of the waist. You might be sealing into the back edge of that left foot. Good. Shoulder blades stack on top of each other. You can peek in your camera to see if that's happening. Sometimes we start to lean that top arm a lot. We lean it back, so maybe it comes slightly forward. Spin your left palm to face forward. Reach up and over. Find that twist. Maybe you're bringing your gaze up. Good. Stretch that top arm up. As you exhale, you unwind. Walk your hands forward a couple of inches. Spread your fingers, press evenly. Curl your toes under. Downward facing dog. All right, so inhale, right leg lifts. As you exhale, step that foot through. Lower on to your left knee, and you might want to slide it back a little bit. If you are on hardwood or cement, maybe double up your mat or grab a blanket. And then the other really great trick here, if you do have blocks, I do recommend that everybody buys props if you don't have them. They're a great investment for your home yoga practice. But hands-on blocks is great, especially if you're really tight in this left hip flexor. Just helps to bring the floor a little closer to you. Blocks are nice too because we can play with the different heights. All right, so this can be a really intense stretch. I want you to notice if you've started to clench the muscles in your face and your jaw, soften there. And then also peek, just make sure that you have enough space in that front leg. So your knee is landing over your ankle. Sometimes we need to creep that front foot forward a little bit. Breath smooth and steady. Couple more, maybe you can melt that left hip down a little further. Okay, we're gonna root down into that left palm. Your hand could be on a block. We're gonna just open up into a simple little twist here with that back knee down. Gaze might be up, you might just be looking forward, you could even be looking down. They're all good spots to be. Deep inhale. As you exhale, you unwind here. So one hand on either side of that front foot. You're framing that right foot with your hands. Curl your left toes under. Keep a little bend in the back knee. And then walk that right foot off to the right. So we want to make sure that we're on train tracks as opposed to a balance beam. Fire up the legs. Keep the deep bend in that right knee. Feel your lower belly pull in and up. Crescent pose. Ooh, did you just hear my knee pop? It was a good one. All right, you can take your arms as wide as you need to here. You might keep a bend in that back left knee. You might start to straighten. That's going to intensify the stretch on the front of this leg. So we've been there. This should feel good. And then let's take this into a twist. So nice little balance pose as well. Hands come to heart center. Good. As you exhale, lean forward at your waist. Hook that left elbow to the outside of your right thigh. Vigorously press palms towards heart center. That's going to help you to get a little leverage so you can start to spin your chest open. Hard to find a nice deep inhale here in these twists. So see if you can tap into that. Good. So as you exhale, you're going to unwind. Palms are going to plant. Keep that back leg fired up. So we're all going to try to step back to plank, keeping our hips nice and even. From here, you're welcome to pull back to your downward facing dog. Or if you'd like to take a chaturanga vinyasa and build a little more heat, you can also do that. Good. So as you inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. So make sure that you have enough space. Slide that right knee back as far as you need to. Make sure that left knee is over left ankle. Maybe put a little padding underneath that back knee. Ooh, and then continue to breathe. Send your exhale to this right hip flexor. Get really tight. A lot of big muscles attaching there. One side always feels quite a bit more intense than the other, so notice if this is your side. Just observing that. Our yoga practice really helps us to tune in We do that mostly by observing what's happening in our physical shape in our body. And as we get more skilled at noticing things, we start to make adjustments so that we feel better. There's a sense of ease in the poses. A few more good breaths here. And we're gonna make our way into just this simple twist. We're gonna keep that back knee down. So you're rooting into your right hand. That hand might be on a block. This left knee likes to wing out as we come to the twist. So just press a little to the inner edge of the left foot. Start to spin to the left. Extend that top arm up. And just like our Vinyasa pose, we're trying to stack our shoulder blades on top of each other. It's a little trickier in this twisted configuration, but we move in that direction. And if it doesn't look perfect, that's okay. It's not about perfection. It's about feeling good and making wise adjustments and choices. Emphasize the inhale. Notice what's going on there. As you exhale, you unwind. So we're going to set up for our crescent pose. Let's walk our left foot off to the left. Curl those back toes under. Keep a little bend in that knee as you rise up. Feel your lower belly pull in and up. Inhale, come on up. And you can keep that deep bend in the back knee or just a little bend. You might start to straighten. As you do that, don't lose the deep bend in this left knee. And this is a super intense stretch on this right hip flexor. But enjoy it. It's kind of one of those hurts so good things. And of course, you back out a little bit if you need to. All right, so as we exhale, hands come to heart center. Good, deep inhale, lengthen through the sides of your waist. Then we make our way into the twist on the left side. So start to hinge forward, it's your waist. Hook that right elbow to the outside of your left thigh. Start to press your palms towards heart center. That gives you a little leverage here. And these twists in crescent pose are a big balance pose. So you could even lower the back knee down if you're feeling really unsteady here. It helps to fire up that right thigh. That's gonna help with the balance. And then again, make sure that you're breathing evenly. Find a spot to look at. You're looking down, forward, or up. The drishti helps with balance. Good, deep inhale. As you exhale, you unwind, and we have options again. So plant your palms. I'm gonna show you the side view here. I want you to try to keep your hips this low as you sneak that left leg back. That's hard to do. From here, you pull back, downward facing dog. You take a chaturanga vinyasa, or make your way back to your downward dog. I already said that. And then we take a few breaths here. Let's all take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. So let's play with one more balancing pose. So our Vashisthasana, we're gonna hit this a couple different ways. So go ahead and step your feet together at the back of your mat. Fire up the legs. And as we come into this, if you know that you don't like coming into full side plank, you could do the variation that we did in tabletop again. So you could start to make your way into that. That's a great variation. If you want to do the full pose, feet are together in downward facing dog. So think tree pose in your legs. I want you to have them that strong. As you inhale, shift forward. Weight comes into the right palm, your shoulders over your wrist. Roll to the outer edge of your right foot. So I'm lengthening through this left side of my body. Variation here is to take that left leg in front like a little kickstand. Spin that top palm up and over. Reach those fingertips forward. Good. Stretch that top arm up. Unwind. Step back. to your plank, and then pull back, downward dog. Deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. We're gonna make our way to the second side. So stepping feet together if you're doing the full version of Vashisthasana, otherwise you're on your tabletop. Inhale, pull forward into plank, and we're gonna flip it on its side. So you're gonna begin to roll to the outer edge of your left foot, rooting down into that left palm. Shoulder blades stack on top of each other. So sometimes we can lift the hips a little too high towards the ceiling. So you want that nice lengthening. Spin that top palm forward. Reach fingertips forward. Maybe look forward or up. Feel that lower belly pull in and up. You're gonna feel your arms shaking. That's good, that's you getting strong. Good, we make our way out. Back to plank, pull back and downward dog. Quick little child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Ah, maybe take another deep inhale and then exhale. Okay, so we're gonna come into that again. If you're cooked, just stay in child's pose. And as we come onto Vashisthasana on each side, you'll just take the twist in child's pose. So to one side or the other, there's no shame in doing that. I highly recommend it. But if you do have a little more in you, let's come into our Vashisthasana again with the option to take tree pose in Vashisthasana, so like a double balance pose. So rocking up, if you'd like to do this, walk your hands forward, curl your toes under. We're gonna get there quick. I know that we're pretty wiped out. Step your feet together. Inhale, shift forward. Okay, root down into that right palm, roll to the outer edge of your right foot. Vashisthasana, you could stay here. Maybe bend that leg. Maybe you can get a little higher. Top arm up and over. Maybe you fall out. Maybe you look up. So many maybes here, and it's no big deal. Okay, we're gonna unwind. If you are in a deep tree pose here, and you wanna come out, keep both hips lifted and then stretch back. You can do that. Okay, pulling back downward dog. Feet step together. Inhale, shift forward. Root into that left palm, roll to the outer edge of your left foot. Shoulders stack on top of each other. You could stay here. You could bring that right foot to the lower leg. Maybe you can get it a little higher. Spin the palm forward. Wrap those left ribs up. Good, and then we unwind. You're in the tree pose and you wanna stay there. Hips stay even, beautiful. Kind of a little hip strengthener, step back. All right, if you want to one final Chaturanga Vinyasa, you can do so. Sometimes a back bend feels really nice, so you could even hold your up dog or cobra. And then we're back to child's pose really quick. Deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then inhale, start to roll on up. We're gonna come into Ardhanu Shirshasana. So again, if you were sitting on a blanket, you have one handy. Great little variation. So first we find our Dandasana. And if you do have a strap, I would grab that here. So seated staff pose, legs extended to straight. They're active, toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. You're rooting into your sit bones. So this looks easy. It actually requires a lot of effort to sit here like this. This is good to do this for just a few minutes every day. You'll build a lot of strength in your core. You'll actually build a lot of strength in the upper legs too, if you remember to keep them really active. So we are gonna keep this left leg extended. This is like our standing leg if we were standing up. Sole of the right foot comes to the inside of the left thigh. So this is tree pose again, a variation of it. Of course, it's much easier for most of us seated to bring that foot a little higher. Kind of just notice what that feels like. You could always take a little support, a block or a blanket underneath that right knee if you need a little support. All right, so we're gonna turn this into a forward fold. So if you know that you're really tight in your hamstring, grab your block. It goes around the sole of the foot. And then this is really nice. The strap helps to articulate the foot. It helps you to find that twist of the right ribs towards that extended leg. And then it also helps you to keep that length, that sense of back bend as you start to hinge forward and fold in. And you can just walk your hands down any amount. You might be really upright, that's okay. So if you're a little more flexible, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in, wrapping these right ribs. So there's definitely a twist. You might be able to extend your left wrist past the edge of that left foot and then grab that left wrist with your right fingers. And then that's nice because it kind of gives you that leverage to twist in a little deeper. And this is intense on the hamstring, minus screaming. So that would probably mean that I need to come out a little bit. If you're in the same situation, do that. If this is really easy for you, Susie and Jen, I'm talking to you. I want you to start to squeeze your outer hips in towards each other. Maybe fire up the muscles a little more. Couple more breaths. Good. Start to walk your hands in. Right hand comes to the outside of that right knee. Find your Dandasana again. So sitting nice and tall, shoulders over hips, rooting down into your sit bones, feet nice and active. And then the sole of the left foot comes to the inside of the right thigh. So tree pose, much easier here. Definitely easier to find the balance when we're rooting down into the sit bones. And then the same thing here. So if you're tighter in your hamstring, strap is an amazing, amazing prop. It just brings everything a little closer. You're still getting an immense stretch. If you're a little more flexible, root down into sit bones, stretch arms out and up. Hinge forward at your waist, keep lengthening. Reach that right hand past, and then grab on with your left fingers, spinning these left ribs down. And if you go to a place that feels a little too intense, you just back out a little bit and then maybe move in that direction again. The attention might start to wander here a little bit. So when we come into these static poses, these long held seated poses, there's ample opportunity to think about things. It happens without us even being aware that we're doing it. Brains were made to think. It's a good thing. We want them to, but sometimes we want them to stop also. So find that rhythm of your breath. Keep bringing your attention back. As we inhale, we come on up. So one final little pose here. Dandasana, moving into Paschimottanasana. So feet or strap around your feet. Walk your hands down any amount. If you want to go a little deeper, hinge forward. Block at the feet is really nice. It just kind of gives you a little something more to reach for, and then it reminds the toes to stay really active, the legs to stay active. Good. As you inhale, you're going to slowly roll on up, and then you're going to come onto your back. When you get there, you're going to hug your knees into your chest. Or rock a little bit from side to side. And we're going to make our way into our Shavasana. So that can look a few different ways. If you're close to a wall, you might take your feet up the wall, which is really nice and relaxing. Or if you're near a couch, you could just rest the calves on the couch, laying down. Shoulder blades pressing to the mat, palms facing up. You might take a classic Shavasana, legs extended wide, arms by your side. If there's any pressure in your lower back, a blanket rolled up underneath the knees is a really great variation. You can also bend the knees, take your feet wide, and then allow the knees to knock in towards each other. I'll take a final deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then we're gonna settle into rest here. About a minute or so, soak it up, surrender, Shavasana. Let your next inhale be deeper. Let the breath go as you exhale. Start to bring your awareness back to your body. Begin to wiggle fingers, toes, maybe stretch arms up overhead. Moving nice and slow as you're ready. You just come to one side or the other, finding the fetal position. And eventually you're going to use your hands to help you press up to a comfortable seat. So ending class in Sukhasana as we started. How does this pose feel different though? So it doesn't take much work, much effort for things to shift. For you to find more space in your body, in your spine. For you to find a richness and depth to your breath. And perhaps to even find this sense of calm and quiet, maybe even joy in the mind. So we feel balanced. Send yourself love and gratitude for showing up and working hard. Promise yourself that you're going to carry some of this feeling with you into the rest of the day, the rest of the week, into almost fall ahead. Bring palms together at your heart. Bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work today, guys and girls.